My name is Renison Jeffrey, and this is the Workers' Rights Platform. In Trinidad and Tobago, the crime levels are escalating. The nation is concerned, and many citizens are speaking out concerning what they believe to be the truth and what is actually taking place. And what is funny about this whole situation is that none of us are getting clarity from our Prime Minister and the ministers of government in which we had elected or did elected to hold on these positions. Crime is one of the biggest issues right now. Unemployment and lack of economic stimulation within our country. And even if the economic condition is stimulated, the people who need it the most, they don't reach them. Now we are going straight into a video in which someone from a member of Trinidad and Tobago, the general public, would have made a comment on social media. Although we agree in full, it's something to listen to and it's something to take cognizance of. My name is Renison Jeffrey. This is the Workers' Rights Platform. We encourage you to like, to share, and to subscribe. Share your opinion with us. Call the numbers on the screen and be a part of this nationwide discussion as to what is taking place within your country. Remember, you have the say. And what we do here, we do it in the name of the people. Thank you.
You know, we have to sit back and try and dissect what actually occurred with the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago in that quasi appearance that he did there. Because there were a lot of things that we have to pay close particular attention to. And one of the first points that I want to highlight, the Prime Minister actually found resources to set up and to put in place to come and speak to the people in the quasi and the population by extension on crime matters that were triggered by a symposium held by the leader of the opposition. I'm saying to you, if he could have found time and found resources to do what he did there, it means that he has time on his hands where he could meet with the leader of the opposition and her team, minus Gary Griffith, because Gary Griffith is not a member of parliament. He can meet with all of them behind closed doors. He could also meet them and read out the Riot Act, what he's not prepared to entertain around the table, and continue with the discussions and the dialogues across the table. But he chose not to, because he made it very clear to the public and the leader of the opposition, he does not have to be present in that meeting. And that clearly shows that the Prime Minister does not want to meet with the leader of opposition because he believes it's a sign of weakness and his inability to curtail the crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago. He does not want to come out and accept defeat. That is a fact. You don't have to like me, but you have to pay attention to what is playing out there. The other item that struck me, and had me a bit disturbed, is how he keeps on coming out to demonize everyone. I don't know what it is with the Prime Minister in demonizing everybody, always with some form of character assassination. So he trained his guns on acting and no longer active TTPS officers. And then he insinuates and he implies in a very strong way that they should not speak because he knows what they were doing behind the scene, and later on he would speak. He then accuses a particular retired TTPS senior officer of being one of the key problems within the TTPS and blames them and their activities. He blames them for the current state of affairs of the crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago. Those are very glaring and alarming remarks made by a prime minister. Right? We also have to understand why it is when it comes to situations like this, because it appears that the population is uncomfortable, uneasy, and concerned pertaining to the prime minister having a grip on everything. He comes running out to meet the people. Now, I need you to differentiate between the two. The prime minister is in government. He represents the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Right? He does not sit in there in a political capacity, but he was placed in there through a political activity. Now, when everything gets hot, he comes out and tries to play within the political arena. That is not how prime ministers operate. Right? And we have to start to take a closer look at this lazy prime minister we have. He acts like a child. Right? A child who wants to play in a big man and big woman world, and when they got caught in nonsense, they revert being a child and saying that they should be excused and forgiven and pardoned at the end of the day. You cannot play on both sides. You have to pick a side. Because you're the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. You're not the political Prime Minister. You are the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And yes, you are failing. You're failing. I don't even pay attention to Fitzgerald Hines because he is the right political scapegoat you would want in that position, because public perception is that he's a waste of time. He's ineffective, he does nothing, and they just don't know how he gets to hold on politically to always be present in a P&M administration. But he's the perfect scapegoat to put there. When they realized it was going to affect the political currencies of Stuart Young, whether Stuart Young and his people demanded, his handlers demanded that he's removed from that position, or what, he was removed. We have to watch these things for what it is, right? But he believes, and I'm talking about the Prime Minister, that he has nothing to account for. He's not at fault at anything. But here he is, failing to take hard decisions, to send the right messages, to trigger off the right activities to curtail the crime situation. And I'll say it again. We have a dangerous activity that is taking place in this country that we have to be very careful of. Political interference damages a lot of independent institutions because they wield the power to put these people in those key positions. Authorities that have protections under the Constitution, but the weakest end of it, the weakest link of it, is that it is the political directorate who appoints individuals into these key authorities and commissions. And that's where the weakest link lies, the political interference. And for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, you need to understand how dangerous it is now. You have an ineffective TTPS Commissioner of Police. You have a lot of ineffective chairmen of boards, CEOs of state-owned entities. And we have to understand the president now, very questionable in her capacity, because we saw how she, maybe under the advice of the Prime Minister, dealt with the president of the Industrial Court. You have to understand how dangerous political interference can be into these sacred cows under the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago.